Hello Fretwellers and welcome back to MrMFretwell Plays Minecraft, and in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at some farm concepts. Let's see here. I've got a bunch of the equipment I need and we're going to start messing with those in a moment, but before we get into that, as you can see, I've finished the branch mine, got all the lamps in, kind of cleaned it up a little bit. I also cleared out a bunch of trees over to where the lab is, over here, so we've got that done now as well. So it looks a lot better, I have to say. We're not going to work on the lab today though, we're going to work on the lab probably next episode. We'll get a bunch of that going. I don't need anything out of here at the moment. Sticks would be nice actually, and we'll take that iron. Just going and raiding everything. But what we're actually going to be working on today is some automatic farm concepts. So we might not get too far in actually building anything today, but I want to try out an idea that I've got, and hopefully it works. And it involves hoppers. We're going to need some carrots or potatoes, so I'll grab a stack of carrots. We're going to need some comparators, which is why I grabbed the sticks. I'm going to grab a bunch of redstone. That should be plenty for what we need, and I'm going to take 8 blocks. We're going to need some quartz obviously, and we're going to whip up a bunch of redstone torches. I'm going to need these for other things anyway, so it's not like it's a huge deal. First off, we're going to make some comparators. We'll make 8 of those. Now then, yep, redstone comparators, and we also want to make a bunch of redstone torches, and we'll make 8 of those as well. Redstone repeaters, should I say. So, now that we've got all of that stuff, we're going to work down here, I think. I also want to grab a bed and a crafting table. Let me see. I'm positive I have a crafting table lying around. I don't, but I do have 4 planks that we can use up, so we can use that, and bed. I don't have any wool, so we'll just take this bed for the time being. And we're going to head down here. I'm going to use this area, as I haven't done anything in this area yet, and actually come up with some farm concepts. So let's just start by clearing out some trees. So this farm concept is going to be used for carrots, potatoes, and nether wart. Now the reason I'm not going to be using it for wheat is because I need more wheat than I needed the rest of these crops, and also wheat is a bit harder to deal with in the sense that you've also got to deal with seeds. So let's get some equipment down here. Let's get the crafting table down, the bed, and we'll also get a chest down and get some supplies in here. Some dark oak, some spruce, various different bits and pieces, smooth stone. So it's going to take a little bit of figuring out to actually get this to work, I feel. Nothing around, that'll decay over time. So let's start then. So what I wanna have happen here is I wanna have the items from the farm flow into a hopper. So we've got this hopper right here, and it's then going to be siphoned off into 2 things. And if I remember correctly, in order to do that, you need to do something a little bit like this. So if there is a hopper facing that way, and I put a chest on the end of it, then the items should split in half. It's not quite what we want to do, but I want to verify that that's true, as that does rely a little bit. Well, I guess we could put the carrots in there. So we're getting some in here and we're getting some in the bottom hopper, which is what I want. Are we getting... Basically we're getting even amounts from that, because hoppers will always pull from other hoppers. We've got 31 and 33. Okay, it's not what I was expecting, but it's fine. So now that we know that that's true, the carrots are going to be coming from a water stream up here into that hopper. So we can forget about that hopper for the time being. That's just there for looks. Just checking that I'm on normal again. Just saw the sun there and just reminded me. So what I want to do is I want to have a system that collects a certain amount of carrots and deposits them into this chest. Eventually it will be like a chest somewhere else, but within access to the farm, and the rest are going to get piped away into, for the moment, a storage buffer. but eventually into the central storage system idea I had. So we can almost think of this as being our little buffer right there. And what I need to do is actually get a system in place. So we need a redstone torch there, placed on every other side possible. Now, if I put that in there, is it still going to take the items? No, does it? I should check that. No, it does not. So what we need to do is we need to power that until we get the required amount of carrots that we need in here. Now, how that works is a little tricky, I feel. I'm going to need a comparator, I think. Do I want a comparator out the back of the chest, or do I want it out of the out of the hopper? Let's try the chest first. So a stack of carrots is going to output what signal strength from a chest? This is where things might get a little tricky to actually work with. Ah, that's what I thought. Only a signal strength of 1. So we can't use the chest in this case. We could pipe it into another hopper before it goes into the chest. That is an idea. So why don't we do that? We'll look at compacting it later. I'm looking into actually getting a concept here for the moment. So instead of taking it from... Oh, but that wouldn't work, would it? Because there's only ever going to be like one item in there, so... Oops. That will not work. But it was worth a try. It would have to go into something... It would have to remain in here, that's the thing. That's where things get a little bit tricky. So... I wonder, let's go back to this hopper again. If I power this hopper, the second hopper, will it still accept items but just not distribute them? So if I toss them in there, they are. Okay, so now we're making progress here. Give me that dirt back. I'm also going to jump in bed. So it can receive items, it just can't deposit them, which is what we want in this case. Yeah, so they're stuck in here basically. So we're going to need a comparator out the front here, and this comparator will detect when we have a certain amount of carrots in this hopper. And what signal strength is it now? I think it's a signal strength of 3. Let's just verify that. It's a signal strength of 3. So whenever this reaches a signal strength of 3, what we want to happen is for this torch to turn off and this torch to turn on. And also, we need to stop items from going in here, because we don't want that to happen. So in order to do that, my next question is... Well, actually, let's do this one step at a time. Let's rig that system up first. So we need a repeater in here. I am going to need some more blocks, which is kind of a bummer. I have wood, so we'll just have to use that instead. We're going to have a repeater here, and this repeater is just to extend the signal strength, and we need to flip these two. So I need more redstone. Let's get some more redstone, and let's run this from the repeater. We're going to have to extend it by a block, I think. There we go. So let's put that there. And that should invert that. So now the carrots can begin to get accepted into this chest, which is what we want. And that only works until this goes down to a signal strength of 2. Alright, that's important to know. So I'm going to take this away for the moment. We're going to work on the other thing we want this to do, and that is to depower this. So now what's going to happen, right, actually we want that still there. So if I put carrots in here, they're going to build up, I may have cracked it. We want a comparator here, actually, is what we want. This comparator is going to be working with this hopper, and this hopper needs to have every other type of carrot, every carrot in it. So we only want a signal strength of 1 from that one. And I don't know if a repeater will work like that. We'll find out, won't we? And that goes to that. So if I put all of these carrots in here, that does work. So now we know it's still being piped into there, which is not what we intended. We intended split evenly, I think. Has it? We've got a carrot in there, one in there, and a stack in there. So let's see what this did. So it's still accepting things through this hopper, which is what we don't want. So we only want things to be pulled from here. So this redstone torch is powering this hopper from taking items, but do we want that? I don't think we do. I think what we want to do is actually power the hopper directly above this fella right here. Because if this fellow is powered, he still takes the items. The items are still flowing into the chest, but they aren't going into here. It's kind of blinking there and doing whatnot. So now we've found a way of getting all the carrots into this chest right here. I'm not worried about what that's doing for the moment. I actually want to remove this torch for the moment and actually figure this one out. So we know while that is there, just for the moment, that what do we know again? Let's recap. Let's see what that did again. It's going in there. It's not going in here. It's just going straight down. And it's blinking that fast that that will happen. But we need to get items into this hopper first. So, in order to do that, we want this to be powered first. We want this hopper to actually receive power, which is not what's going on at the moment. So if we take that away, collect these carrots, and we put them in again, then it should only be flowing into... Where are they flowing? Are they just mounted up in there? Okay, so we've got a comparator out here. Maybe we want a comparator out the other side. Sorry if it's if I'm missing the obvious here. I'm just kind of experimenting. Maybe we don't need that one right there at all. So this should fill up, and when this reaches a signal strength in our case, let's go with signal strength of 2, because we don't want quite a stack. We want to separate the two. So when it's a signal strength of 2, then it will power this repeater, and that tells us that in here then is enough carrots. This is where it does get confusing, because I want to send them into this hopper first. That's why I had that dealt with. We want this to be depowered. So what's going on here? If I take that away, what happens? Where do my carrots go? They're now going in here, but not in there. Ah, so. Okay. We want then, we do need a comparator here. I was completely wrong about that. we need a comparator here that before it gets dispatched into the chest, it's going to be mounting up in here, and we need to get a signal strength of 2, and then we want to extend that with a repeater, and then we want to run this down until we get a signal strength of 2. I'm going to take all the carrots out. Where did the rest go? So I've only got... Oh, I have a full stack. Okay. So this is going to link up with that. So when this reaches a signal strength of 2, it's going to flip this to allow this hopper to dispatch into the chest, and we also want it to depower this torch but power this hopper right here. Oops. And I think we have it all then. So we need to use this wire 3 times. We need to first use it for, as I say, flipping that so that it dispatches into the chest. We also want to use it so that it depowers this torch right here. We can do that fairly easily. We've just got to connect up the 2 wires. So it does that, and it will disconnect this torch. I missed out a repeater there. It will allow this items to flow through this hopper, but we also want this hopper, this one right here, to turn on. So do we want it to turn on or do we want it to turn off? We want it to turn off, I think. Well, let's try it and we'll see what happens here, because I really don't know at this point. So let's see what happens. So we put the carrots in. They're going into this hopper. Okay, so we did get that wrong. We did get that little bit wrong. This needs to be off right here. So that's easily solved. We just need to put an extra torch in, like that. And now what we need to do is put items in there and see what happens. So the items are flowing into here. They are not going into here. And this should happen until this reaches signal strength of 2. And then the system should flip. Hoppers. Oh, that's not connected, but that's fine. Then the remaining items should go in there. Oh, this is a bit of a lag machine, isn't it? Why did only so many of the carrots go in there? The rest went into the bottom chest bar 1, which is fine. That's completely fine. We can take that down. So now what we've got to do is we've split them up correctly. The only thing that we have to figure out at this point is getting these items into this chest right here. And that's going to take a little bit of figuring out, but we'll pass the night again. So all we've got to do now is figure out how to get the items out of that hopper and then into this chest here. Because if I take the torch away, then they're all going to go in there. But we need it first to measure for the rest of the circuit. So, let's see. So we want this whenever it goes... I see what we've got to do here. That. Then that. I'm just thinking here for a moment. That. And this repeater's here just to stop feedback. And that should happen until we get nothing. But wait, the problem we've got now is whenever that receives a power level of 1, it's going to be pushing the carrots out. So we don't need that to happen until the circuit flips. So that could be solved with a piston. because it's going to dispatch 2, we know that when that circuit gets full, it's going to flip. But there's still going to be equivalent of 2 in here. So that's when we want it to flip. Not when there's 1 in there, only when there's 2. If this makes any sense at all. Get rid of that for the time being. So what was this wire doing before? Because now what should happen is this should reach 2, which it does, and that torch flip, and also this torch flips. So that should work. Let's test. Where are my carrots? There's 34 in here, and 29 in there. And we should have 1 in that hopper. We do. So, this should now actually all work, if I did everything correctly. So it only needs to flip for a second, and that will be enough. Let's see. And that stops again when it reaches signal strength of 1. So that's where we're going wrong. All of the carrots should have been shipped into there. So what do we got? 1, 22, 63, 64. So all we've still got to figure out is this situation right here. Getting this torch to turn off until this hopper is empty. And that might fix it. Did it allow 1 to pass? It did. Ah. Now that may have been though due to the fact that we oops, where did the rest of the carrots go? There's 62, 63. Where did the last one go? Is it still in the top hopper? It's somewhere here. Ah. Is that because of the repeater though? Because that's fixable. Because it just needs to be that. That's going to let out 1 tick of delay now. Oops. Yes. I think we did it. Now then, where's the rest of this going? I just popped redstone in there by mistake. One thing we're going to have to do to build on this is actually take out and eliminate the problems with human error and put in the wrong item in the hopper. I'm just looking to make sure everything's empty before testing it. So, now what should happen here is we should get a signal strength of 2's worth of carrots. Then it should flip, and then it should allow these to pass in. But only when this... That's never going to empty, is it? Maybe not. It's pretty hard, actually, figuring this out. So we know that that bit works, but we just need to get a way of emptying this hopper. So that was not the solution. This is interesting now, because we've got these in here, but we need to get rid of them. Do I need another inverter? Possibly. That's the last thing I can really think of, and if this doesn't work, I'm going to work on it off camera until we get what I'm looking for here. As we've done quite a bit of work, and I'm conscious time is getting on a little bit here. But is that now going to make it 1 tick too long? And get our carrots back out. So we get all 64 back here. Just toss them in again. It's powering up. Yeah, it's filling up, so that was not the solution either. So all I've got to do now is I've got to figure out a way of, once we're done with this hopper, flicking a switch, it's just smacked me in the face. It's obvious what I've got to do. We've got this wire right here. This wire, when this flips, that has to flip as well. So let's get our carrots back. Let's pick all this stuff up. That torch by default is not powered. We actually want it to be powered, so it was not that wire we wanted to connect it to, it's this one. But is that going to be enough? I can go over, right? So I can save a load of redstone there by just going over. Is that going to be enough? That's my question. Well, I guess it doesn't matter adding a delay, does it? Because we finished working with it. So that's not going into there. This is the absolute last final test, I promise. So that should give us 2, and then it should flip. Now they should go in there, and the rest of the carrot should be going in here. Going a bit slow. No, it's filling this hopper now. Didn't think about that. It's got to let this finish before putting this into the chest. That's what we've got to do here. We've got to let that finish before we put that into the chest. So that's easily enough solvable, but I'm going to do that off camera, and I'm going to come back to you guys once I've got this fully working. So I will be right back. Okay guys, after spending quite a lot longer than what I thought I was going to spend on this project, I have managed to get it working with the 64 items. So what we've basically got going on here is this is our collection point, as we've already kind of covered. This is where the storage buffer is, and this is the collection chest. And we've got this here, and this is new. This is a hopper timer, and it's filled with snowballs. And what happens here is the comparator goes to 2, and this sets off a clock which sends snowballs into this hopper, building up for a period of time. And this is to basically, it's a pulse extender, this is basically, and it extends the pulse long enough to let the items go through into this hopper clock right here, which enables me to drop off the items from the hopper into the chest. I tried doing this lots of different ways, and this is the only way I have found that seems to work, and it works reliably. Now, this farm, if we were to build this, would only support 23 crops. So what we have to do for our actual farm is extend this wire and kind of move everything across. But I am going to leave this one up as a demo while I work on the other ones until we have another one built. So basically, for our actual farm, whatever that may be, we are going to have to figure out, we actually are out of hoppers. We're going to have to figure out, using a hopper, how many items is inside a hopper, how many stacks of items is equivalent to what we're really looking for. So we know a stack is equivalent to 3. So that's a big jump, isn't it? From what, like 23 that's required by I think it's 23. 23 that's required by the 2. I'm thinking a stack of each of these per time is probably going to be enough, because I'm not going to be using these too often. That's just a stack to plant, that's all. The rest will go into the buffer. So I'm thinking all we have to do is actually just make that 1 redstone longer. The rest of this will all still work. It's just that this bit right here has to be extended. So what we'll do next episode is we will actually build one of these, probably using potatoes first, as that's what we're eating, and we will probably build it over in this general area. and we are going to build one of these and actually build the farm around it. We're obviously going to whip up dispensers and do a water collection button push thing to sort of ferry all the items into this top hopper. This took a lot longer than I was expecting, and I don't necessarily know if this is the most compact thing at the moment or whether it's necessarily right, but it does work. And after how long I've spent with it, I'm pretty happy with it, honestly. It does use a lot more resources than I perhaps intended, especially the hoppers, but we're only going to be building carrots, potatoes, and netherwort using this setup. So that's going to be what? We've got 4, 6, 8 hoppers per time. That's going to be 24 hoppers in use for the whole farm. And it sends it to a storage buffer and also gives me the seeds back. Now, if we hypothesize here, hypothesize, I think is the correct pronunciation of that word. If this is our farm collection chamber, or whatever you want it to be, I guess we don't really need those, honestly, there. Hope none of them went into the hoppers. If that is our sort of chamber where we collect things, we've got to consider as well, reaching that chest is going to be a bit of a pain. So we're actually going to have to funnel that into a dropper, which is then going to activate and funnel up into, I think, one more dropper and then the chest itself. Now, what I'm worried about is one is going to get left in the dropper, so we're going to have to set up a system for that. I mean, it's not too terrible to do this. You would have to do a system a bit like this. Oops. And, oops. See, that's the problem. You could fall in. I don't want that to happen. You could put a trapdoor there, I guess, and it'd be fine. But I would like to see if I can do something with that, just to make it a little better. So, I will be working on that off camera as well, to see if I can reliably get everything up at least one block using a dropper. And I'm also going to work on, well, I guess we will do that next episode. The extension we'll do next episode, but moving the chest is going to be something that I'm going to do off camera. So that will be something I will be working on, ready for next episode. And as I say, in the next episode we will look into actually building one of those farms, using, I believe, a stack. We're going to plant a stack. I think that's a reasonable amount to actually have in a farm. It's what most people use to farm these days, so we'll look into that next episode. And we've also got to contemplate how we're going to hydrate all the soil with this redstone around, and the harvesting system, but that should be done at the back, hopefully. I'll have to do a little bit of work with actually seeing how I can get 64 slots in different patterns, because the standard 8x8 won't work, unfortunately, for the collection system. So I'm going to have to look into that a little bit, but I think I can. 64 is divisible by 4, so should be able to work something out at least, and hopefully we'll be able to go from there. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode, guys, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Done a bit of redstone for a change, and next episode will be less redstone based, more kind of wrapping this entire project up, really, in the next episode. But I hope that you've enjoyed nonetheless, and I hope to see you next time. And until then, guys, see you later, and have a good day.